Marlee Liss is the founder of the advocacy group Survivors for Justice Reform and a sexual assault survivor herself. Thank you for joining us, first of all. I think people have been talking about restorative justice a lot the last little while in this country. Why don't we begin by having you explain what it is. What is restorative justice?
Yeah, so I learned about restorative justice through experiencing it. I was going through the criminal legal system for 3 years as a survivor of sexual assault and just found so much re-victimization there and started looking for another option, and that's when I learned about restorative justice, which is not new. It's been around a long time. Indigenous communities especially have paved the way for it, and it really prioritizes repair over punishment. So in a criminal legal case where it's the accused versus the Crown, this is the person who experienced harm is at the very center, and we're here to focus on healing and helping them move forward while really prioritizing accountability.
But how does it work? You sit in a room with everyone? Like, how does it work?
It can look many different ways, which is good because victims are not a monolith, perpetrators are not a monolith, so it shouldn't be one size fits all. A really common one is a circle process, which is what I experienced. So yes, you sit in a room with the person who caused harm, and there are facilitators there who are focused on addressing that harm and getting really clear on what the survivor needs in order to feel a sense of closure and healing. And there's a lot of prep work as well. So we're not just throwing people into a room and hoping for the best. My assailant took part in 7 months of extensive therapy leading up to this, and the facilitators put in several hours of preparation work to make sure it was really trauma informed.
I mean, you went through the court process as well, and then this. Did you comparing the two, is this much preferred in your view, in your case?
This is why, I haven't stopped talking about it since it happened in 2019, because it was really night and day. My experience in court, as so many of us see or have lived, it was so re-victimizing. I felt like I was the one on trial. I was up on the stand for hours and hours defending my character and just digging into these memories that were so painful to me and so invasive. And I didn't have the right on the stand to say, oh, I'm not comfortable answering that, because I could be deemed a non-cooperative witness. I could be penalized for that. And so when we shifted into restorative justice, it became so humane, so consensual, so trauma-informed, and it felt like every step of the process was actually about my reclamation and healing.
A conversation happened instead of a back and forth adversarial process, effectively, right?
Exactly.
But in Ontario, the issue is there are impediments to that, certainly when it comes to sexual assault. Is that right?
Yeah, there are barriers in order for people to access restorative justice processes. I'd say the biggest one is a lack of awareness, right? We can turn on Netflix and watch a million true crime shows that all take place in a courtroom, but we're just not having this conversation about other routes to justice. So there's the lack of awareness, the lack of funding around really great programs that do exist, and really significantly, there is a Crown policy right now that says that Crowns cannot refer sexual violence cases into restorative justice.
So if it gets to that point, is that what you're saying, that it's too late? You have to sort of, in other words, people have to be aware of it and ask for it?
They have to know about it. So if I knew then what I know now, I would never have gone through the whole court process, which was so painful to me. I would have just directly contacted a restorative justice organization, which you can do. But because I had reported and I started going through the process, it basically meant that I didn't have the right to change my mind. So I was drowning in this court process that was so painful and also very likely to end with acquittal. And there was no information given to me about restorative justice, and the Crown wasn't technically allowed to make the referral or even to offer restorative justice.
So your whole thing right now is to get word out on the option, I guess, if that's the way to put it, that exists.
It's really about consent. Like, informed consent means we're giving survivors all of their options, and we're supporting them in choosing the one that most aligns with what they actually need.
If this conversation continues across the country at this point, is that that's a good thing in your books, I imagine?
Absolutely.
Like it's having a moment almost, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the rates of reporting, less than 6%. We look at the rates of acquittal, like we've just seen with the Hockey Canada trial. Acquittal is so common. We look at the re-victimization that survivors experience in the courtroom. And to me, it's so clear that we don't necessarily need to close this door. Like, let this be an option for the people who want it, but we need to open more doors to justice that are actually humane, trauma-informed, survivor-centered.
Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.